Welcome back to Dawn of Man HP. Inception continues moving through the Bronze Age, and unfortunately my fear from the last episode about being able to trade for enough copper ore and or bronze continued. I soon had to not only buy copper tools intact to keep a decent amount of tools around, but also suffer the indignity of going back to make bone tools. One thing about trading for upgrades is you can't choose what you get when you get it. You kind of have to take what's available. They keep trying to give me horse domestication. I've skipped that for now. But I did grab stone carving, which doesn't give us a ton of stuff right away. It does give us the statue. Right there. So that's another 1 megalith item that we can use for spiritual benefit. So we're going to build 5 of them all together. I've got one right over here, and the rest are on this side of the river. One here, one over to the right, and then a couple more up in this direction, so we'll spread them out. The main issue here is that megaliths are becoming hard to get, and this is going to be more of a thing going forward. So we can go way over here, and we've even gone this far for them already. And you can see we're having a difficult time actually finding any. Like there is another one over here. But there's only so far we can go in each direction, of course. Pretty much at the limit there. A couple more over here. But as we make our way around, you can see like a couple more way out here by this remote lake. And we're now getting close to the edge on this side, which is quite a bit farther than it is in the other directions. So we haven't run out, but we don't want to just burn through these like crazy. I do think, though, with a max size settlement, 5 of the next spiritual building is not being excessive. A second advance in less than a year might have been pushing it a little bit, but we had the opportunity to grab armor, had the resources to do it, although it drained us a bit. And that's the next step for us in protection for our people. So I went ahead with it. Now these are simply, get set here. Simply 1 leather to 1 leather armor. And we're a little bit low on those, but we can make more. We're most of the way there on the shields. So once the shields finish up all our leather, most of it anyway, we'll be able to go towards the armor. Of course, some of it also going towards the megaliths that we're hauling back for the statues. Speaking of which, here's our first one of those going up. Of course, they dump all of the leather and logs they don't need anymore to haul it. Got a little bit of a face, I believe, of some kind, going up there at the top. And it's kind of an interesting display here. They're showing basically chiseling away the outside, refining the decorative parts on these. And there are different brands of these, just like there are of the burial mounds and some other things. Got some coloring in here. So we're basically refining our stoneworking technique here to be able to do things that are somewhat less crude than we were able to before. And there's our statue, which we may now venerate at our leisure and help us with the fight against morale. It's going fairly well at the moment, but you can always use another weapon against that. A year later now, summer again, and we have the opportunity to purchase what is the advance I've been waiting for, the one that gives this episode its name. But first up, we'll look at a few other things. Our statues, there's a couple more types we've seen. We've got a couple of these right here, which are shorter, a lot more detail in terms of the clothes, but he's got a very weird look on his face. I don't know if that's frightened or shocked or what that is. And there's another one exactly like that across the river. And then up here, this one is bizarre in its own way. Lots of rings on the back. You can see people bowing down to the statue. Or that's actually the back. But we have there's like almost no face. Looks like, is that cactus or something growing up there? But it's like literally somebody forgot to put the eyes and the mouth on him. But it is finished. It's very strange. Very strange indeed. In any case, bit of a dip in the straw due to some disease. That's not a big problem. Food is fine. Demographics are a bit scary because of all the elderly people. You can see we're doing very strong otherwise. Prestige is almost totally maxed out. But this is like 40% or so of our population, like 95 people in the elderly category. We haven't had that many die recently, which is why our dolmens are clearing up a bunch of space. We're going to need that. And I would build more of these even, but I don't think we have the megaliths to spare. So I'm hoping those will be enough, and I will go do that if I have to, but I'm going to try to avoid it. So, our next advance. Whoops. Having sheep disease problems. But we need to buy this. Now, we didn't actually bring in any this time. We have been able to buy some bronze and some copper ore recently. Not this time. All we really want here is the masonry. And yeah, with 420, that's a chunk of change. But I believe we can afford it. We can get rid of some of these. I don't want to get rid of a ton of them. But I will sell 20 some of those. And then there's our fishing rods. And we have enough of those, I think, to finish this up. Yeah, plenty there. Okay. So now we have masonry. And what does that let us do? Well, we finally get to use all of this stone, first of all. So I'm going to go around and plant a bunch of work areas. I'm going to boost these up to 2 each. And then I'm also going to do the percentage at 20%. Lowest percentage we can do. Our previous stone area, now exhausted. We actually had some over here that was eliminated quite some while ago. But we are going to do a massive stone gathering endeavor. And it'll help us clear out more area. We've had all this stone in our way for decades, literally. And now we can do something with it. This is going to be another good spot. Get rid of the 3 of those. So we pop over here. Here's some more. And so we'll start with the stone inside the city, and we'll build more storage areas for it if we need to, and just gradually expand outward. We can grab some of these down by the stream, and so forth. Okay, so what are we going to do with all this? Well, what aren't we going to do with it? This is going to be the single largest, with all apologies to the stone circle and all of the more gradual things that happened during the Neolithic, single greatest construction project, or largest one rather, that we have had in the entire history of the city, and the largest one we will have. We can upgrade palisades to walls. We're not going to do that quite yet. Well, actually, we probably actually have low enough workload that we can. So we'll grab a section of the wall at a time like that. We can't do the gates. They require, the reinforced fortifications. We've got to have that for the platforms. We've got to have that for the watchtowers. So those are out. But our stables, we're going to upgrade those to stone stables. And these are similar upgrades to when we went from huts to, these buildings, or the basic, what's the name of it again? Yeah, went from tents to huts. Okay, when we invented thatch construction, moved up to the huts, and now we're moving up another level, these as well, to roundhouses. And we can also do the storage huts up to warehouses. Now, they require quite a bit of material, and then you've got to tear them down and get everything out of them, put them back in. It'll take a while. Granaries do not have that yet. We need to have another research there. Same for our metalsmiths. Our outfitters don't have an upgrade option, so we're not upgrading all of our buildings. But if you consider all of our residences, all of our stables, or residences for animals, all of our storage facilities, and then our entire wall, all the way around. This is going to take some time. And I'm going to do sort of what I've done before. I'm going to do 2 of these house structures at a time. one of the stables, one of the storage, and then a section of wall. Just do it bit by bit. But this is going to take a considerable amount. I mean, years, I'm sure. And so I'm just probably going to hold off on any more further advances until we figure out just exactly how long this takes. And again, with the walls, they're tearing everything down. We're going to get logs back from them. But they can't actually build a new thing until the old thing is eliminated. And more stone depleted. So this roundhouse, which is what our new residences are called, is our first building to get underway, and they're building up stone foundation. Seeing a bit of grass standing around the bottom, and I also like the variety and the kinds of rocks they're using here. And now we're starting to get what's going to become the roof on the top, and they're working on the next one over there. Got a bit of a doorway forming over here. You see, this takes a fair amount of time, even with multiple people working on it. This is not a quick throw it together type of construction project. More stone coming in. And now the roof framing's starting to take shape. We can see we've got this higher angled part near the door frame. That's now in place. And also, now that we've got some of this on here, we can see that if we compare it to some of just the huts, the thatching is higher quality and more refined, showing advances in construction techniques as well. The cow is literally standing on top of our people who are trying to build this. They have no respect. There it is. First roundhouse is complete. And these, you can see 2.5 times longer for the storage. Now they have more storage space. They have one more person, 5 in each, more prestige, etc. Continuing the gradual improvement. And here's a warehouse. This is our new storage building. And using the same general approach, they've got their foundation up and are working on the roof here. Looks like we're almost finished. We've got a bit of... Let me swing around the other side. Ladders in place. And so we've got the opening here where it's a little more breezy to let more air in. And see how our stable's coming along. Looks like that's most of the way finished. Gotten a good start on it anyway. And so all these, of course, looking a lot more sturdy than what we previously have. You can see the beaming here on the inside. And putting the finishing touches on this roof as well. Not sure exactly what they're finishing up here. There we go. Okay, and then we have also done some over here on the wall. Now let's take a closer look at this wall, because there's a couple things worth noting, I think. One is that if we take a look, find a good spot, yeah, we see like parts like this, there's blocks side by side, but then there's also some stretching across. And that's very important to the technique being used here. I'm really impressed by the fact that these walls have different types. You got some rocks protruding, you know, it's not completely, totally finished and polished. It looks like an ancient stone wall, and it's of an appropriate thickness. A lot of times they're represented much thinner, so I think that's really interesting and well done. And then we have, again, larger space, 15 now. Animals can be sheltered in these stables. The warehouse, again, up to 2.5 times length, and additional space as well. There's 20 slots now in each of these, and the other ones had 18, so they were actually not that much more here in terms of how much space they're giving us in terms. Oh no, these are 24. 24 compared to 18 is different. That makes more sense. Okay, so we are now proceeding forward. And since it's harvest season, I won't do any more yet, but we'll want to continue on with the wall, continue on with our harvesting. Where's our wolf at? Oh, snuck into the town, and we eliminated it. But our stone rebuilding project is on its way. Much left to be done. A raider attack here in the spring illustrated another bit of an issue here, which is when you're replacing your walls, there's always going to be open spots in them. Since I have that, there's not really much point in closing the gate, so we've just got to sort of fight this out. And there's other issues, but we'll get to those. So we're just going to sort of mass up here and go after him. Lost a dog. I think that might have been it, though. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely take that. Just sheer numbers getting that done for us there. But also the fact, I think, you know, our shields and the beginning of our armor probably helping quite a bit as well. Would have lost more otherwise. Okay, so everybody diverts to go to their special places. Now, we were having a problem bringing in enough stone. You can see we don't have that much right now. What I did is I went out here and got a bunch more areas going on. We've got, they're working on gathering up stone over here, and we've got multiple areas now over here where we're doing it. We've got one here, and we've got all of these in this area, and we've got another one set here, and etc. I just expanding our various zones that we're capturing from to try to get more in, because it takes a while to mine stone out of the pile. And of course, all of this, building this up, is back-breaking work. And we've made good progress. We're basically, you know, almost, in less than a year, almost halfway around this side. But because of the amount of work it's taking, our workload spiked, and now we're in real danger of not being able to plant everything during the actual planting season, especially with that interrupt from the raiders right in the middle of it. So I'm definitely not going to buy any more upgrades and advances until we finish the wall, because the buildings will come across a little bit more slowly, doing a little bit of time. Those are gradually. The majority of the concentrated labor and work is going on just replacing the walls. Ancient stone construction appears to have relied on a hodgepodge variety of techniques, depending on what resources were available in the area. Sometimes mortars, mud or clay at first, and later gypsum or lime, were used to fill in the gaps, and at other times, dry stone construction was utilized, with no mortars, but depending on interlocking the stones for stability. And in some cases, a remarkable level of skill at this was attained. It's particularly impressive when you consider the basic tools that were used: picks and mallets and other blunt instruments, chisels. Just pause to consider for a moment the level of craftsmanship, careful measurement, attention to detail that would be required to reproduce something like this Inca wall with such basic tools. This is why there were some structures that were initially thought, before more precise dating methods were discovered, had to have been built at a later time than they actually were, because it was difficult to believe it was achieved at that level of advancement. Parts of this side of Peru are a good example of the double wall or twin wall method, where you essentially have two walls that are right next to each other leaning slightly inward, gaps filled in with earth and soil and other things, and then occasionally rocks stuck through perpendicular connecting both the walls, in order to increase the stability of the structure. Returning then to Inception, we did indeed fall short of our goal of getting all the planting done. You see quite a bit of missing flax here. New rye field here did get done, so that's good. But also over here, definitely some missing fields. So we have enough stores to make up for that, but straw especially, and also food somewhat, will probably decline for a year or two. I'll need to watch the workload more carefully as we continue our work on the stone wall. All of that and more coming up next time. Till then, thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon.